Hi everybody, it's Joni Young here. Welcome back to my channel for another painting tutorial in acrylics. Today I wanted to show you all a step-by-step tutorial of how to paint a Christmas tree outside under the night sky. So I'm going to make this as magical as I can and as moody as I can. And I'm going to walk you guys through this every step of the way. And feel free to use any alternatives, whether it be the colors I'm using or brushes I'm using or the size of canvas. You can change it up as much as you want, make it your own. However, this is meant to inspire you guys and teach you a lot about different acrylic techniques, ways to apply them, and colors that you can mix together, like color recipes. So I hope you guys are excited to learn how to paint this. This is going to be a really relaxing one. And I'm just going to go over the colors I'm using today first of all, and then we'll go over the canvas and the brushes. So we'll start left to right. Mars Black, Luminous Opera, Luminous Orange, and Cadmium Yellow Light, Turquoise Blue, and Ultramarine Blue. We also have some Titanium White here. The size canvas I'm using today is a 16 by 20, and I'm going to be using a few large brushes to start the background with, and I'll be using my number 70 flat brush first for going around the edges of the canvas. Then I'm going to switch over to a number 50 filbert brush and start creating some soft clouds and peaks in the sky. I'll go over all the other brushes that we're going to be using during this tutorial, and I'll have a full list below this video in the description box as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing I'm going to do is wet my canvas with some water. This will help me blend my acrylics out easier across the canvas. I'm going to take my largest 70 brush and just evenly spread the water around to cover the canvas. And I'm going to take my ultramarine blue and I'm going to just apply it directly onto the canvas. So I'm just going to add a little bit in each corner. And then I'll just start pulling that paint around the edges of the canvas, almost creating a frame. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to my filbert brush, my number 50 here, and I'm going to start to create some clouds and movement in the sky. I'm not going to cover up all of the white canvas because I want to glaze over once this is all dry with my yellow, orange, and some pink. Now we're going to have some snow down here, and the snow is going to be lit up a little bit from the lights on the tree. So we'll have some darker shadows, which will be the blue down here. And then we're going to have a few little lumps like this in the snow, where we're going to have some brighter areas. So I'm just going to come around and wiggle out a little bit here. This will give us some nice definition in our sky. Okay, I'm going to rinse this brush out. And the next brush I'm going to be using is a dry, soft mop brush. It's actually a makeup brush. They're wonderful brushes to use, and they're nice and soft, so that we can just lightly go over what we've just applied and just soften it by going around in little circles. If you have too much paint or too much water on your canvas, it won't work. You'll be left with one solid blob, and you don't want that. You just want a little bit of paint and a little bit of moisture on the canvas. You might notice that your brush is starting to get saturated and is not softening that paint and giving it that airbrush look. In that case, switch over, put this one in the water, rinse it off, and switch over to another dry and clean mop brush. I always recommend to my students to have 2 to 3 of each brushes on hand. Okay, so as you can see, I've just applied my yellow, orange, and pink here. I've got some white up here, and I'm gonna mix and apply these colors to the sky with a number 14 filbert brush. I'm gonna start off with my yellow. So I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white, and I'm just going to start adding it down here about midway down the canvas. And then add a little bit down here as well. Now as this goes over part of the blue, it'll end up looking green. We can alter that later on if we want. And I'm going to take a little bit more white and some orange now. And I'm going to start coming over part of the blue, part of the yellow. Mix up a little bit more here. Sometimes using less white and sometimes adding a little bit more white. When I add less white, it's going to be a little bit more saturated. Now you can use a little bit of water if you want. What I like to do is just spritz my palette with a little bit of water. It's just the right amount that it'll keep my paint nice and wet, but not thin it out too much and not drip. I'm going to start coming up here and just slowly applying more and more of the orange. Add a little bit of water here so that I can thin the paint out a bit. And the reason why I want to thin it out a little bit more in some areas is so that it creates more of a glaze or filter. It'll make it more transparent, in other words. Okay, I'm going to take some more orange. Hardly any white at all in this now. And I'm going to pick a few spots to really bring out the color and create a beautiful, magical looking winter sunset back here. And now I'm going to go over to my number 30 filbert brush. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. And I'm going to pick up my pink. Load both sides of my brush, but there's still not a lot. You don't see globs of paint on my brush, right? It's not necessary. This is really pigmented and saturated paint. And I'm just going to start crisscrossing from the outside. So we're going over part of the blue. You can go in little circles if you want. And then we're going to slowly start working it into the rest of the sky. And you can add this wherever you want. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. And I'll take a little bit of orange along with the pink this time so you can see what a pretty color that makes. Add a little bit of water so we get a nice thin but not dripping consistency. It's really important that it's not dripping. And you might hear little spritz from my little spray bottle once in a while, and it's kind of a new thing I've been doing lately because I can easily control the amount of water. It gives me less water than if I was to put my brush in the water. And I just kind of prefer this right now. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit down here. I'm going to mix in a little bit of white now. So just shows you when you add a little bit of white, you get a little bit of more of a pastel shade. It's very pretty, soft. And I'm going to go back over to my number 14 filbert brush. And I'm going to apply a few more smaller little details and the sky kind of twisting, demonstrating how I'm going to use the brush now. So I kind of just roll it in between my fingers back and forth. That's turning it constantly. You're going to do that while you move the brush around. This will give you a really more natural, organic look to your sky and your clouds. So let's go ahead and start doing that. First by taking a little bit of white and a little bit of orange and yellow. You don't want to have a lot of paint in your brush for this, so kind of just mix it up and then take some of it off. So your brush will look something like this. And then we're just going to start twisting and rolling between the fingers. And I'm just going to move around. I'm going to add a little bit more white and orange. This cadmium yellow is very, very saturated. So if you're using this one by Holbein, you only need a tiny, tiny amount. And then you can also just come in and just add these little loops. Loading the brush on the end for this technique. I'm going to come down here in just a moment. Before I do that, I'm going to take my mini spray bottle here and just mist the area that I applied those wiggles to. I've got a dry mop brush on hand. I'm going to show you how you can soften. It looks fine like this, but I'm going to show you how you can soften even more. So we'll just mist before that can dry. And look at the magic that happens. It'll only work if it's still wet. Now this area isn't wet enough, but you can see the magic start to happen there. So let's apply some more and try it again. Let's take some orange and some white and come around this area here. Let's add a little bit of pink to the ends here. And quickly before it can dry, take your brush and add a little spritz. It all depends on the temperature of your room that you're painting in. Mine's not that warm. Or no, sorry, the opposite. Mine's actually warm, so the paint's drying a lot quicker. But look how pretty and soft that looks. Now I'm going to come down here and add a little bit of highlights with my filbert brush, water, white, a little bit of these, any one of these colors or all three. And I'm going to add a few little sweeps like this. So it kind of goes up, down, up. But you want to kind of, you don't want to make a pattern. It's nature, it's natural, right? So stay away from making too much of a pattern. Take a little bit of yellow with the white. Again, I picked up way too much. I'm always forgetting how strong this yellow is. It's a beautiful yellow and it'll last you forever because you don't need very much of it. So look, you can just apply a little bit over top of some of the existing corals and peaches and pinks that we have there. I'm gonna add a little bit around here. Let's take a little bit of pink in there. I'm gonna get this wet. And light little circles. And soften down here a little bit as well. You can do this wherever you want. It really changes your painting up a lot with how rough or soft you apply your paint. I'm just rinsing my filbert brush out now. And I'm going to show you how to add some stars to the celestial winter night sky using a toothbrush. And all you want to do is just get your toothbrush a little bit wet choose the color or colors. I'm just going to take a little bit of the pink, the white, a little bit of yellow. And then it's a bit messy, so you might want to wear gloves and protect what's around the area. I'm going to take this painting down here, turn it around so I don't get any paint on that. And we're just going to spray wherever we want to have that. If you want to have some snow falling around. Now, once you do this and it's dry, you can glaze over that as well and pick up all the pastel tones and add little hints of pastel tones to your snowflakes and or stars, and they'll look iridescent and beautiful, especially if you use a little bit of all the colors. I'm going to introduce another color now. Now, if you want to add some more stars, you can. I like it just very soft looking like that. Now, I really wanted to use this color because I can make turquoise with it. I do use phthalo blue a lot in my tutorials and videos, so I wanted to show you how you can make a shade of turquoise using blue turquoise with a cadmium yellow. So this is already a blue turquoise, but we can make it more of a green turquoise by mixing it with a little bit of yellow. However, I'm going to just use it as is right now. And I'm going to apply a little bit more of my ultramarine blue just here. And what we're going to do is, let me just move some of this, pick some of this up so it doesn't drip down into my other lighter blue turquoise. What I want to do first is use a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. Well, we've got yellow down here, so let's just go ahead and mix some yellow, blue. Look at that. Isn't that a gorgeous color? There's your color recipe for green turquoise or a bright aqua green. Now, if you add a little bit more white, you'll just get it lighter and lighter. So it depends on what you want, what you're going for. I'm just going to lighten this up a little bit more. I'm just going to take a little bit here on the end now, and I'm just going to, now this might seem a little scary to you guys, but for me it's exciting. I love doing stuff like this. I'm going to just layer over and I'm going to kind of wiggle and go up and down. I'm going to take a little bit of white. A little bit of yellow and white now. And I'm just going to come in here, add a little bit. It's going to be even more of a celestial kind of northern lights. I'm going to spray it. Fine mist here. Take my soft mop brush and just by light little sweeps up and down this time, not circles. And then we can create a little bit more magic. Now, if we go in and take a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of the blue turquoise, gently come in down here. You can pick up a little bit of this as well. Don't apply too much. Wipe the excess off. You might want to use a towel. I'm going to come in here along the side, down on the bottom. And add little hints of this darker shade just down on the bottom, and then kind of lightly flick up here and there. just to give it a little bit more magic. Can never have too much magic. I'm going to take my little round brush, mist, gentle blending. I'm going to dry this off with my hair dryer, and then I'm going to come in and add some white in the middle section of these Northern Lights. Okay, with a clean and dry brush, I'm going to take some white. This might be tinted with a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to come in where I said in the middle here. Go in and take a little bit more. If you guys hear a little ticking sound, it's just my hair dryer cooling down. I'm going to mist just a little bit and then lightly pull these up. And then just a little bit of a sweep down. Now you can make it brighter and brighter depending on how much more white you want to add or how much more blue you want to add to the background. So I'm going to make this a little bit darker here just so that I can show you, because I really want to show you what I mean. And I'm going to add a little bit of a spray. I'm going to use this brush, a little bit of my blues, and I'm going to come in and filter over here. Okay, so I'm just using my brush in a circular motion to apply that paint nice and soft. And then little circles, and then a light little pull. And I'm going to come around and add some more of my blue. Again, a little bit of a mist. This is going to make the painting look more like nighttime, creating more shadows, thus creating and emphasizing more of the light. So the shadows will bring the light out more, and highlights. I'll take a little bit of the turquoise this time and just start where I left off. You can see the difference between a dry canvas and trying to blend versus wet. Makes a big, big difference. It makes it so much easier. Okay, so I think that we're ready to start coming in with our tree. And I'm going to apply a little bit of black to my palette. And you just need the tiniest bit of black. I'm going to put it with my blue. I'll be using both those colors. And I'm going to break this down really, really simply for you guys. We're going to come in first and just make a color of both the blues and black. And we're going to paint a shape. So this is going to be a big tree. I want to start by adding the top of the tree right there. We're going to add a little dab, and then we're going to add a line down here. Now it's not going to be too wide, otherwise we're going to end up with a huge triangle. So I would say 1, 2, I would say 3 inches wide, and then we've got the top of our tree, and we're going to come down, down, and just paint that in. It makes such a difference adding a little bit of water. Now we're going to come in with the larger filbert brush, and we're going to start stippling in some branches. Just before we do that, I'm just going to take a little bit of that paint we mixed up and add a little shadow around the base of the tree. Okay, then we're going to mix up those colors again, blues and black. Mix them up and get it on the end of your brush like this. And then we're just going to start by adding little taps and then starting to add them side to side. Let me just load up my brush a little bit more here. So we're going to just come outside of the triangle. And I'm tapping sometimes down, curve down, and then sometimes curving up so that we get all those other little branches to the ends of our other branches. So all those little ones. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of white. Going to mix that in with the blue-black mixture. And I'm going to just start tapping in some snow, but it's still kind of in shadow, right? So it's not going to be really bright because it's nighttime. The only thing that's going to be kind of bright is the sky behind this and the lights on the tree. I'm going to add just a little bit more white here because I know this is going to dry darker. We're going to completely dry this off before we come in with our lights, of course, otherwise it would be too muddy. Now you could choose any blue that you want for your tree and the snow on it. I want this to look more like a blue spruce tree. Okay, I'm just going to wipe the excess off. I'm going to take a little bit more of my blue and my black. Again, wipe the excess off. And I'm just going to shadow in a little bit more here. I'm just going to go over and blend a little bit of this out, not with my mop brush, just with this brush here. Same brush I just painted the tree with. Okay, so I'm going to be adding the lights with my round number 10 brush. And this is all dry now, so that's the best time to come in and start adding your colorful lights. You can choose any colors you want. I'm going to have some soft yellow, peach, pinks, and some turquoise. I'm going to make the turquoise again like I did down here with the yellow and the blue turquoise. I'm going to start by adding a little star up top here. I'm going to take some yellow, a little bit of white, yellow, and pink. And I'm going to just dab, dab, dab. And then I'll just take my finger and I'll soften. I'm going to lightly pull from each side and make it glow and sparkle. Okay, then I'm going to come in with white and add that to the center so that it's nice and bright. I'm going to take a little bit of pink because I just want to add a little bit more of a glowing pink to peach to yellow to white in the center. So I'm just dabbing this pink on the outer parts of the star and then a light little pull. Okay, now I'm going to take my yellow and my white, mix it up and get a little bit on the end of my brush, and I'm going to start adding rows of lights that are wrapped around the tree on an angle like this. I'm just going to use straight white now, and then I'll show you how you can just glaze over with the colors that you want. You can mix up the color first and apply it like this, or by the way, I'm going to show you in a moment, just by white first. Now you can use a Q-tip if you want. That's another way of applying little lights or little dots. You can stagger them a little bit as well, so dab down, dab up, down. And I'll just add one more little row down here that comes down bottom of the branch and kind of just on the snow, just resting on the snow. And I'm going to come down here and add a little bit more light. Soften with my finger to give it more of a glow. A little bit more behind the tree. And I'm just going to brighten up these northern lights. A little bit of a mist. And we're going to create a little bit of a soft glow on some of the edges of these branches. Okay, let's go ahead and dry this off and then come in with the colors on our lights. Okay, so some of the white lights are still a little bit wet because the paint was thicker. If I accidentally pick up some of that when I'm going over my color, I'm not going to worry too much about that. Sometimes it just makes it kind of look blurry and dreamy like, so I'm going to go with it. But I'm going to start up here and I'm going to come in with a little bit of yellow, and we'll add a little bit of color, a little bit more color here and there. Now I'm going over part of the tree when I do this because, you know, lights always kind of reflect the colors on the tree themselves. And I'm going to take some pink and I'm going to start adding a little bit of pink over top. I'm going to go around my star again and just add a little bit more of a glow. So I just want my tree to just be multicolored. So see right there, I picked up a little bit of white paint and I kind of like it. It gives it, see that blurry, glowy look. So just let that happen. Don't worry too much about it. I'm going to take yellow and pink and make orange. Okay, so we've got pink, yellow, orange. Let's come in with some turquoise now. So let's go back down here with our blue turquoise, our yellow, and we'll also take a little bit of white. And by adding this over part of the yellow ones, it can give you a really nice glow as well. Another shade of turquoise. I just rinsed my brush off and I'm going to just blend out some of the color. This will take some of it off and make it more transparent and glowy looking. You can also just take straight blue turquoise and use a little bit of that as well. Mix a little bit more of that up. Add some down here. Both blues, a little bit of white. Then I'm going to take some white and just dab inside some of these lights that I want to be a little bit more bright. And I'm going to go into my beautiful blue here. And I'm going to glaze over some of the branches just with blue. Now I'm going to come in with my number 14 filbert brush. I'm going to take some black. A little bit of water. And I'm going to just lightly tap in for some extra shadows. This will make the branches on the tree look a little bit more 3D. Now I'm going to add a few more decorations, little icicles, and I really love adding the icicles with a brush like this. It's so fun and it's really easy. Now up here, I'm going to add a little bit more white just to fill that in because I must have accidentally wiped that off somehow. So we'll just re-brighten that. And I'm just going to take a little bit of yellow and white and add a little light little flick for the star up here, like I did at the beginning, but just make it glow a little bit more by doing that. Okay, then I'm going to take a little dab of white tinted with a little bit of yellow. Doesn't have to be, you can choose any color you want. And I'm just gonna kind of alternate up, down. So one here, one up, one down. Just really sporadic, wherever you want. So you need a little dab to get you going with what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to go start at the top and lightly pull and flick. And it just gives the tree a little bit more just something a little more. It needed something, right? I like trees, my Christmas trees, to have a lot of stuff on them. So if you want to add more, just come in between or above or wherever. You can have them a little closer together too if you want. It can be right off of the lights. You can kind of overlap. You can have some on the ends of the branches. Don't be afraid to go over top of existing lights though, because you really want to create that layered effect. And then just give another little dab of white after if they're too faded. And I want to add just a little bit of pink. I'm going to mix a little bit of pink in there. I'm going to add a little bit more of a glow around my lights now. It's all about creating that atmosphere and that mood. And what makes it special, the Christmas tree, is when it kind of looks a little bit blurry and hazy, the lights on it, right? Especially like when you take pictures and that happens. It's so pretty. Mix up a little bit of blue. A little bit more yellow. I find that the paintings on my Christmas trees always come together the most for me at the very end when I start to layer over some more colors, like the yellow on top of the blue or the yellow on top of the pink. Okay, so I'm just going to add the final highlights. I'll just take some yellow and pink and white. I'm going to make these a little thicker now. Got a few little taps outside of the tree. A little bit of the turquoise. Clean brush, some pink, some blue, a little bit of white. I'll make a pretty shade of purple. Pinky purple. And I'm going to come in with a final spray of stars. So some white and maybe a little bit of turquoise in with the white. You gotta make sure you have a little bit of water. And enough white that it's going to show up over this darker area. There's a little bit more white. Make this paint a little bit thicker. With my long round brush, I'm going to dab a few stars and then just soften them with my finger. And I'll add the final highlight here. White, yellow, some pink. I want this to be extra bright right here close to the tree. Just going to lift up the top of my easel there and finish the top here off. Just adding all those finishing touches around the edges of the canvas. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one and found it relaxing. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one and seeing your versions. Be sure to tag me in them when posting so that I don't miss out on seeing them. It makes my day when I see your versions and all your paintings and read your lovely comments here. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more if you haven't already, and do check out my watercolor and gouache YouTube channel as well. It's brand new and it's slowly and steadily growing. I'm going to be coming out with some new winter watercolor tutorials very soon, so stay tuned for those. And thank you so much for all of your support and your time. I'll see you guys all soon in another video. Bye!